Welcome to Love, Laughter, and Limits. I'm Tom Dozier, and this lesson is Hurting Baby Brother, Sibling Rivalry with Aggression. This class will help you understand why an older child may be hurting a younger sibling. Most importantly, I will teach you how you can quickly eliminate this problem. Now, this class specifically is focused on preschool or young elementary children and a younger sibling that is significantly younger. And so it could be a toddler with a baby, it could be a 5-year-old with a 3-year-old, but it's this younger age hurting baby brother. This class is based on extensive research in human behavior, and if you apply these simple principles, you will be amazed at how quickly this very troubling behavior problem will go away. So why do children do the things they do? Why would a child hurt the baby? Well, all repeating behavior serves a purpose. In behavior science, we call it reinforcement. The child either gets something they want or they avoid or delay something they don't want. Now, there are feelings involved in this situation. Your child is having many feelings, but you do not need to consider issues of power, control, jealousy, security, revenge, selfishness, frustration, confusion, or feelings of being unloved. Although your child is having these feelings, it's not what's really driving the behavior. The behavior is being driven by the payoff, that the child is getting something that he wants. And what the research shows us is that adult attention is almost always a positive payoff, a positive reinforcer, meaning that it causes the behavior to increase. And if we look at the characteristics that determine the value of the attention, it's the close proximity or approaching the child, the amount of touch, the number of words, the length of time, and the amount of emotional intensity. And it doesn't matter whether it's yippee or it's, oh, what are you doing? Ah! It's intensity. And the greater the value of these characteristics, these 5 characteristics, the greater the reward, the attention reward that it is for the behavior, and the more likely the behavior will happen again. Now, I want to make it very clear that it's not really your fault. It's not your fault that your toddler is hurting the baby or the preschool is hurting the toddler. You've been trapped by being a conscientious parent. You see, your child will do these kind of things, and some children do it more than others. And so your child does something inappropriate, and being a responsible parent, you respond trying to make the problem go away. And it just sucked you into the problem, and you got trapped in this situation. Well, what happens when a child hurts the baby? You're going to come running, right? And you have there's 2 options here maybe that I would generally expect to see. And one is you're the calm mom. You're very upset by this, but you know you need to stay calm. And you talk, lots of words, lots of times. You hold the child closely while you try to explain how very important it is and to be nice to the baby and to treat the baby gently. And so you're giving lots of touch, close proximity, lots of words, lots of times. And there may even be emotion there that's not yelling or screaming, but there's an intensity there that's being given to the child, so there's some level of emotional intensity. Now, that's option 1. There's option 2, which is it's very upsetting to you, and your emotion is very high, and so you feel that you must make a strong response here, and you come in, there's probably screaming and yelling, scolding, lecturing, criticizing, bad boy, or trying to make them feel ashamed. You should feel terrible about what you did. Or questioning, why can't you just leave your sister alone? You're frustrated, you're upset, and maybe you're going to even spank. Now, what you've done here is given a huge amount of emotional intensity, and you've come running very quickly to, and that emotional intensity is a huge payoff factor. So you've given a very strong, large payoff for an inappropriate behavior. And what you find is that a positively reinforced behavior causes the behavior to build in a predictable way. So you get this progressive response. Maybe the child just took away a toy, and then maybe they took away the baby's pacifier, or take away the baby's bottle or food, and then maybe they poke the baby or pinch the baby or hit the baby, and you're getting these an escalation of the behavior, which keeps generating escalation of your response. And so what you find is the child has actually becomes creative at earning the attention. And they come running, you come running, and they've learned that works, and they look for ways to do it again and again. Now, I want to make it very clear that this is not an issue of good child and bad child, of good versus evil. It is not the sign of a troubled, delinquent child unless you don't change things. You see, there's a potential problem here of a general behavior pattern where the child learns that by doing something inappropriate, in this case hurting the baby, that it gets this huge positive payoff of parent attention. And this kind of a problem can easily spread to other areas of the child's life where the child has learned the general lesson that bad behavior pays off good. And that will lead to long-term trouble, delinquency, problem child, all kinds of problems. Well, how do you eliminate the problem behavior? How do you have your child stop hurting the baby? Well, first off, let me say there's a few proactive things you should and can and should do to really make this work well. Your child needs attention. Children need attention. So you want to give good attention to the older child for appropriate behavior. One way of doing that is having what you call special time, which may just be 15 minutes, where you just spend time with your child, letting the child choose the activities that you're doing, interacting nicely, giving them lots of touch and words and attention during this process. You want to allow your child to be the big helper, right, with good kudos from you. Appreciate their competence. Appreciate their helpfulness to get a diaper, to bring a towel, to help hold something, to give them a job to be involved productively, and realistically they can see their own worth, and then you can tell them how much you appreciate it. You want to try to set up to have positive interactions between the older child and the younger child. You can set this up and notice it and pay it off with good attention. When my second grandchild was born in Southern California, my wife and I happened to be ending a vacation with some other family members at Disneyland, and rather than driving back to Northern California, we drove over to where my daughter's family lives, and by the time we got there, we had our second grandchild there. So we went straight to the hospital, saw this new beautiful little baby, and Mom and Dad asked us to do a favor. They said, would you please go by the store and get a gift for, we'll call the older child John, not to use his real name. And so she said, we want to have a gift from the baby for John when we bring the baby home. And would you wrap it like a gift? And we said, sure, we can do that. And so we went to Walmart and we picked up the designated gift, which was a little rubber knife. And this is a little boy who wanted to be like his dad. His dad had tools, so he thought he would love to have this little rubber knife. And so we bought the little rubber knife, and we wrapped it up, and we brought it home. And so when Mom and Dad came home the next day with the new baby, Dad comes in, and he sets the baby down, and he has John come over, look at your new brother. Well, John, of course, came over and looked at the brother. Here, touch his hand. Oh, that's so little. Is his hand so little? Oh, that's so soft. That's so nice of you to touch your brother like that. Hey, your brother got you a present. So was it appropriate, positive behavior? He got the present from his brother. He opened his brother. He was so excited to get this little rubber knife. And so now he was so happy that his brother gave him the knife, but it was also, there was also a positive behavior, appropriate behavior, and this good interaction, this good payoff. Well, it's kind of funny because for a few days, little John would go around with this knife going, baby, knife, baby, knife, baby, knife. And it's like, you know, if you didn't know the story, the backstory for that, knowing that he was so happy that the baby had given him the knife, it would sound kind of dangerous. But it wasn't, because he was happy to have a new little brother who came home and gave him a present. And it was associated, once again, with the good behavior. So you can set up this positive behavior between your kids so that the good behavior has a payoff. Now, this is important, but it's generally not going to be enough because you have an established behavior here of the older child hurting the baby. And it has a very predictable payoff and a very strong, intense payoff. Now, you can eliminate the payoff, and it's called extinction, but you have to be aware that sometimes if you just eliminated a behavior, a payoff of a behavior, you get an escalation of the behavior, and you don't want an escalation of hurting the baby in this situation. So if you have these other positive things in place, this will work very, very well for you. One option is to just give the attention to the baby. Oh, the baby is so upset, it's crying here. And you pick up the baby and you walk away. And so the older child doesn't get the scolding, the reprimanding, the attention that they were looking for as the positive payoff. And you may have to leave the room, you may have to take him into the bathroom, but you just want to swoop up the baby and move away. The second option is to use timeout. And timeout, there's a class specifically on that you should watch before using timeout. It's called Timeout, A Few Minutes of Boredom. And essentially what happens there is that your older child will hurt the baby and then, oops, boredom. And this is exactly not the payoff that your child was hoping for. And either of these two methods or a combination of them, depending on the intensity of the hurting, will do wonders at eliminating this behavior problem. So what you might want to try is that if you want to use the timeout, is use it for just a certain level of, let's say, hurting the baby. But then, if there's taking a toy away or some other problem, then just swoop in and give the attention to the baby. And so that it doesn't work, the older child doesn't get the attention. And remember, you need to have the positive attention for appropriate behavior mixed in with this for it to work appropriately. So in summary, hurting the baby is not a sign of some deep-seated emotional problem. Hurting the baby is simply a reinforced behavior that really needs to be addressed and addressed in a way that will eliminate the problem. And the solution to address this behavior and get rid of the problem is simply don't reward hurting the baby and pay off being nice to the baby and giving the positive attention for good behavior. And if you do this combination of eliminating the payoff for hurting the behavior, eliminate the payoff for hurting the baby, and have positive attention with your child, the problem of hurting the baby will just go away. So thank you for watching hurting baby brother, sibling rivalry with aggression. I'm Tom Dozier, wishing you an abundance of love and laughter in your family, along with limits to help your child behave well and be happy. Thank you.